Here we have a new 2025 Hyundai IONIQ 5. This one comes in the XRT trim level with all-wheel drive. Cyber gray is the paint, and then we have black H-Tex interior, an electric motor on each axle. And then we have that 350 kilowatt max charge speed when you're ever at a DC fast charger. But to the front end here, LED headlamps along with our LED daytime running lights, and the lights don't flash like that. That's just how my camera's picking them up. But in terms of the front fascia here, very interesting design choice. This is still an EV. It still has that presence, but it almost gives you one of those like off-road Lamborghini, Porsche, like the Storado type vibe, just how they designed it. So I think it might be pretty smart and also get people more interested in EVs. But down here, 18-inch exclusive alloy wheels, passive keyless entry on the front. There's a door handle there. We get power folding side mirrors with blind spot monitors. Power door lock controls are there. Electronic child lock and rear window locks, and then one touch up and down windows for the front. Regular power windows for the back. Like the trim there. Bose sound system. Little storage in the door panel. And then there's the hood. Electronic parking brake, auto hold, traction control, charge port, etc. Manual tilt telescoping steering wheel. But here's the power driver seat, and we do get two-way power lumbar support there. But huge thanks to Hyundai of Cool Springs for allowing me to review this IONIQ 5 today. I'll leave a link below in the description. But if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click on that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information, and I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on this or whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. But I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs, so sitting behind myself, very good space here. And I actually rented one of these here recently. There are two USB-C charge ports, and I was very impressed with just how spacious the vehicle is, but also how practical it is. It's nice to have that 350 kilowatt DC charge speed there instead of the standard 150 that you get on some vehicles. An interesting note is these doors are very long, so it just makes the space to get in and out so much easier. So I had my car seat with me on vacation, and I was able to get that in and out as well as get my kid in and out a lot easier than I can in my Mustang Mach-E. And honestly, if I could go back in time, I probably would go with this, because this is just a more luxurious option, I think, a more practical option. The only thing it doesn't have on the Mach-E is the looks, I think, and that's, you know, based on opinion. But LED tail lamps, again, the lights don't flash like that. That's just my camera. But the range on this is only, I think, 259 miles. But again, for that kind of range, it's still pretty good, especially with the DC charge speed being as high as it is. And the power curve is also pretty good as well. It doesn't just hit 350 and then throttle itself down to 100 or something like that. It holds up pretty well. And I actually did do they're throwing these in now, so it's nice that's included. I actually did have to fast charge from like 35%, and I got done charging in like 17 minutes in Chicago. So again, the charging infrastructure is just really good for these kind of vehicles, specifically if you can get that 350 kilowatt max speed. But to the back seat, if you want to fold it down, pull up here, and that'll fold flat, and then pretty easy to just lock it back into place. And you can see you have a little bit of room there to actually tilt the seat, which is another plus. This is, I think, one of the most important things, especially with me having a toddler with longer legs. It's just nice to have that seat be able to move, as opposed to like in the Mach-E, it's just a still seat, so I can't even tilt the seat anywhere. It's just stationary. So that's a big plus. I think a lot of people with kids, you don't think about that until you actually are in that position. But front passenger seat here, two-way power lumbar support, power there, glove compartment, owner's manuals are in this one. But of course, with it being an EV, pretty quiet. But let's just see what's under here. So mostly just the electric motor covered up there, but it's nice to be able to get to some important things over here if you ever need to. But let's go ahead and show off the blinkers. And then in the side mirror and the front. But now let's hop in the driver's seat. So I like the H-Tex wrap steering wheel here, and I love the flat bottom. It just has a really nice look for this to be the off-road oriented spec. There's the horn. Now over here to the radio, love the screen here. We finally have wireless CarPlay, Android Auto compatibility, AM, FM, XM radio, Bluetooth. And what's funny is I feel a lot of people are going away from the wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, specifically GM. Meanwhile, Hyundai's just getting in the game here with having that. But we can condition the battery. All of those EV settings are there. Navigation is in here, and all of your settings for that. Now, if you actually want to pull things up, you have shortcuts down here. So the map, I can just hit that, pretty easy to do. Set up a favorites button here, and then you can go straight to those settings again by hitting this button. So I like that we have a cluster option. So you can just go in here and adjust the brightness, content selection, and all of that. And then your general settings here, you can change your language, and then your units of measurement there. And you can change each of those individually, which is a big plus as well. But if you have XM, weather, sports, all of that is available to you. Backup cameras there, guidelines follow you as you turn the steering wheel. You also get that bird's eye view. And then if you go in here with the touchscreen, you can kind of change the views there as well. So it's pretty neat. Front camera there too. Hazards button. Now down here, dual zone automatic climate control. You can set it to driver only. You can turn that on or off, which I really like that function because it does give you the max output in terms of the airflow that comes through. So if you're not worried about the passenger seat getting hot, then you can get all that air coming to you. Adjust the fan speed, fan direction, and all of that there. Traditional volume knob too. Click there, turn the audio off, and then a tune knob as well. USB-C port, 12 volt. And I really like this storage pocket here. But in the middle, wireless charging pad, 2 bottle holders, and then you have 3-stage heated seats for the front, 2-stage heated steering wheel, button for the parking camera, and then you have the parking sensors you can toggle as well. And then 2 hidden USB-C ports if you ever need those. Center console cubby space. And there's a view of the back seat from up here. And there you have the lights. Garage door transmitter. It's a little dark in here, so I apologize. And there is the vanity mirror. Now back up here to the steering wheel and such, blinkers. And of course we get the side view cameras that come up as we use those turn signals, high beams. We can set the lights to auto there. And then we do have our intermittent wipers on this side. So one time off, intermittent low, high. We can adjust that intermittent frequency there in the middle. And then we have our rear wiper, low, high there. And just push back for the rear wiper fluid, pull up for the front. Paddle shifters behind the steering wheel control the regenerative braking, so you can lighten it up there, or you can tighten it all the way up to the eye pedal. But to the steering wheel itself, smart cruise, you can activate that there. The lane centering, you can turn that on or off. The gap adjust for the smart cruise can be adjusted there. Set your speed and then press to pause or resume the cruise. And then this goes through the middle part of the gauge cluster when applicable. So you can use a scroll bar here and then hit OK to reset whenever it's available. And then this mode button goes through the audio sources, voice recognition, track list, radio station presets, and then volume. You can click that to mute, unmute, and then your favorites button for the steering wheel's here, phone button's there. And your shifter, hit the brake, do that for drive, pull back for reverse, tap up from either side for neutral, hit this button on the side for park. And I saved what's probably the coolest thing about the XRT for last. Your drive modes, you actually have the button you press. So you have 4 different drive modes: Eco, Normal, Sport, and then My Drive. And then nice button down here in the center, hit that. And then you have your off-road settings for snow, mud, and sand. So pretty neat, and it really does give it that more off-road oriented experience when you're in that terrain mode. The push button starts here. Finally, here's the key fob with remote start. But next, let's go ahead and take this 2025 IONIQ 5 XRT out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this IONIQ 5 XRT, still quiet even though it's the off-road oriented IONIQ 5. Ride quality is still pretty good. I just think this is a bit more capable in terms of the off-road experience. I wouldn't necessarily call it an off-road vehicle. But again, like I said earlier, if you wanted to do some light terrain driving, even racing, things of that nature, this is what that'll be good for. Just how the suspension's tuned, the tires, the power output, and all of that. And an all-wheel drive IONIQ 5, just a standard one, will still do okay, but this will do much better. Again, as it's tailored towards that. Now, I will say, and it could all just be in my head, this suspension feels just a tad bouncier. It's still a really good platform. This rides very nicely compared to the Mustang Mach-E, the Model Y, but it just feels a bit more sporty, if that makes sense. I am in the sport mode, but still. Now, in terms of the comfort, the seats are very nice. The H-Tex does a great job at keeping the heated seats feeling luxurious. And the seats themselves, they do hold me up pretty nicely. Now this is rated, and I like this, it tells you right here on the gauge cluster, the max range is set to 282 miles. The minimum is 203, but what you're probably gonna get is around 242. And that just goes to show the EPA estimate isn't necessarily 100% accurate. If you want to shoot for a little higher and you drive a little more conservatively, you can hit that number. But since it's in sport mode, I'm going to give it a pull getting on the interstate here in a minute. Here we go. So, I mean, that was nothing. I don't even know if I had it halfway down. With the sport mode, it just has, it's a very light pedal. So if you give it anything, it's gonna be ready to go. See if we can give it another pull here. So pretty good acceleration. And then we can set the adaptive cruise and the lane centering here. And it does give you that nice sweep there that you can just kind of kick back. You want to keep your hands on the steering wheel according to the owner's manual, but if you want to, you can take your hands off for a minute. Now, I do want to give one more big thanks to Hyundai of Cool Springs for allowing me to review this vehicle today. I'll leave a link below in the description. But if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click on that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information, and I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on this or whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. And just very agile in general. But especially on that curve there, having those curbside cameras really come in handy when you turn the blinker on, so you don't have to break your neck to see. I'm gonna put it into the eco there. And putting it in eco mode really does dial back the pedal compared to the sport mode. And it just allows you to be a bit more efficient and not necessarily have that breakneck acceleration. So like for city driving and stop and go traffic, it's really good for that. But like I said in the walk around portion, I really do think Hyundai kind of copied what a lot of manufacturers are doing. Specifically, I think of Porsche and Lamborghini with that Dakar, and then the Sterrato trim of the Huracan and the 911. Just having an off-road oriented vehicle. You have a pretty similar powertrain setup, but you just get off-road tires and off-road tuned suspension. Still a fast car, still considered a sports car, but just in a different realm. And this one being under 58 grand for the sticker price might be the way to go, instead of having to pay 6 figures for a Porsche or a Lamborghini. Now, obviously, it's not going to be the same, but I think this is a really good option. I think Hyundai, again, being ahead of the curve, just being innovative. They're like, you know what, let's do what these big exotic car companies are doing, and let's just do it for us, make it affordable. And I think that's really what you get with this vehicle here. And this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2025 IONIQ 5 XRT.